Hello, my name is Agnes Regnaud, and here is my story. I was born in North Dakota to a large Catholic family. I was number 9 out of 13. My parents were farmers. I attended a one-room schoolhouse, and after passing the 8th grade, the question of high school came into being. There was no Catholic high schools in the area. My desire as a child was always to be a teacher. My mom's desire for all of her children to have a high school education, and she saw to that happen. So in order to get my education, my parents took me 200 miles from home to Miles City, Montana, and this was my first time away from home overnight. So it was quite an adjustment. I worked from my room and board at a local hospital there, which was also a training hospital for nursing. I attended all 4 years. I was able to get home for holidays and for summer. At graduation, I received a full scholarship into the nursing program. This was a total surprise to me, as my intent was to go to Teachers Training College in Dickinson, North Dakota. How I was going to pay for that, I don't know, but God had better plans. So I attended the 3-year nursing program. In my last year, a classmate of mine wanted me to go out on a blind date with an Air Force guy that was stationed close by. And I really didn't want to go because I had final tests, but she kind of twisted my arm. Long story short, Norman and I were married. Because he was not Catholic, the Catholic Church would not allow me to get married in the church. So we got married in the rectory, which was next door. The priest that married us told my mother it'll never last, and I'm happy to report we were married 51 years before he passed away. Norman got discharged from the military, and we loaded up the car and drove to North Dakota to see my parents before we headed for Ohio. This is where he was from. We lived with his parents for about a year, and after living with them, my mother-in-law invited me to go to a revival, and I had no idea what that was. They attended the Marlboro Christian Church, which was a small community church, but it was packed the night we got there. I was overcome with the music that was there and the preaching. I had never heard such lyrics before in my life. My heart was touched. The seed was planted. However, I remained faithful to the Catholic Church. Our first child was born while we lived there. Shortly thereafter, we moved to Canton, Ohio. Norman worked at Goodyear Aircraft, and I was a nurse at the hospital. I was pregnant with my second child. It was May, it was Mother's Day. It was coming up, and I wanted to go to church. So Norman drove me there, and he stayed home with our son, Steve. This was a large cathedral-style Catholic church. The service had barely started when I had this strange feeling in my abdomen. Being a nurse, I thought, oh no, this can't be labor. I still have 2 weeks to go. Pain reoccurs, so I went to the foyer and I saw this tall gentleman there had an usher label on his lapel. And I said, can you take me to the rectory? I'm in labor, I need to call my husband. His reply was, the rectory's locked. And so I said, but I'm in labor, I need to call my husband. He says the closest phone is about a block or so down the street. And yes, I walked down there, and en route I said to myself, if this is church, they can have it. I got to the gas station. The attendants there were very kind to me, made sure I was seated, and did I need water, and I called my husband. He came and got me, went to the hospital, and Barbara was born an hour later. After she was born, we as a family started to attend the Canton Christian Church. My heart was really touched with the music and the messages. A gentleman from there came to see me with the plan of salvation, and he was very adamant in trying to persuade me to go forward and be baptized to add to his number. And he came out several weeks in a row, and it was always to add to his number. So I thought, well, I'll be baptized, and I went up on a Sunday morning on a dare. I thought, well, I'll just get it over with because I'll never see the whites of his eyes again. I had discussed it with my husband, Norman. When the minister baptized me, he said, Mrs. Regnaud, on the confession of your faith. And I'm thinking, I don't have a first name. But I thought, well, I'm not up here for the right reason anyhow, so what the heck? Let it go at that. We were just starting to get involved with church function when Norman got laid off. And we decided to go out to California because his parents had moved out there to San Diego. So we ended up going to California. He got a job, and we bought a house in Escondido, California. Started attending the Escondido First Christian Church. And my mind during that time was like a sponge. I was just wanting to learn everything I could about the Bible. I started a devotional book called Bible Pathway to read through the Bible in 1 year, as that was a goal of mine. And I'm happy to report I've done that every year since. As a Catholic, I had looked at pictures in the big family Bible at home, but I never read any of it. In the 4 years in high school, we had religious classes every single morning. Now, I don't recall ever seeing a Bible there. I did memorize 1 Corinthians 13 in English class, but I didn't realize it was from the Bible. After we started attending there, they were starting a youth program, and the minister came and called on me and wanted me to be a leader in the primary age group. And I said I wasn't qualified, I don't know enough about the Bible. He says, you teach, you learn. So I accepted the challenge. And then the evening services one night, he was preaching on the importance of baptism and how it's accomplished. Was talking about an infant can't confess Christ and things of that nature. And it was that evening that I went forward, was baptized, and gave my life to Christ. They offered teacher training classes at the church there, Survey of the Bible class, and I took both. Overwhelmed at how the Bible weaved the plan of salvation through each book in the Bible, I got a wealth of information also from the Bible Pathway. God definitely saw to it that my dream for teaching was coming true. Norman also was very active in the church as a deacon and an elder. Norman got the dreaded pink slip from General Dynamics Astronautics, so we moved to Homestead, Florida. He had a position in the Air Force Rescue and Recovery on the active reserves. I worked at the local hospital. Again, all this was God's plan because we started to attend the South Dade Christian Church. They had no youth program, plenty of youth, so I approached the minister and the elders to start a youth program using materials similar to what we had in Escondido. We had a thriving youth program going, and I want to just add one little tidbit on that. We had 2 little twin girls that came. Their parents did not attend church, but eventually they started coming, and I'm happy to report that the daddy is a minister in the Christian churches today. So it does work. God has a plan. I also taught the teacher training class and the Survey of the Bible to the adults. In 1980, we retired to Florida, and I continued to teach Sunday school, the youth, and later led the Ladies' Bible Weekly Study at my home. I also taught at the church the teacher training and Survey of the Bible to the adults. God had a very definite plan in my life, using my desire in my heart to teach, because every place we moved, the need was there. Fulfilled my dream way beyond my expectations. God is always working behind the scenes. If I hadn't had the scholarship, I probably would have never met Norman. I would probably still be in the Catholic Church of rules keeping and would not have had a relationship with Jesus as my Lord. So trust God to work in our lives behind the scenes. He does it best. It's my story.